Hello, I'm Joe Rimmelspach in the Department of Plant Pathology at Ohio State University, and I work primarily with diseases on turf. And today we're going to talk about effective use of fungicides on lawns. One of the first things to consider when you're working with diseases is to diagnose the site or the problem accurately. Many times I have people ask me, what disease is this, Joe, or what's causing the grass to turn brown? And so the first step is you have to accurately diagnose the problem. Quite honestly, most brown spots in lawns are not caused by diseases. They can be one of the factors, but there can be many environmental factors, soil factors, maintenance factors that can really cause a lot of difficulties with turf and really strange or patches or brown grass. So that's the first step. The next thing, part of that process is to identify the grass at the site. So when you're looking at a lawn, it has brown areas or you think it has a disease problem, one of the first things you should do after is to look at the turf and identify the grasses. So blue grasses are susceptible to certain diseases, rye grasses, tall fescues. We have a nice little information sheet on our website you could look at that breaks down what diseases by season are on these different grasses, so you can become familiar with that. So that's a big help. Another thing then is, once you suspect a disease, you want to have accurate diagnosis, and then once you do that, then you can look at resources on how to treat it. So I'm going to talk about fungicides, a little bit about how to select them, but before we do that, I kind of joke a lot of times that many times on lawns and sports fields, the first fungicide is a good application of the proper fertilizer. Many of our diseases are not going to kill the grass, but if you can get the grass growing better, then oftentimes you can replace that damaged tissue and it will improve the lawn or the turf area to where you don't need a fungicide. So really look at your fertility program. If you feel the turf is hungry or growing very slowly, you may want to make some adjustments in the fertility program. One aspect of that you've heard me say more recently is especially the phosphorus levels. If you're low in phosphorus in the soil, or you're not putting much down in your fertility program, many diseases are really more severe when you have low phosphorus levels. So check that out. Then once you have a disease, you know it's there, and you want to make a decision on a fungicide, then you have to select one that's effective against that disease. And just because it's on the label doesn't mean it works well on that disease, but usually there's some good data that it will. Next thing, you want to make sure you use the proper rate. So usually on the fungicide label, it'll talk about a low rate and a high rate. So you have to, if it's very at the early initial stages of the disease, a low rate may be sufficient. If it's very aggressive or you think it's going to be aggressive, higher rates will work. Another choice or selection is, are you going to go liquid or granular? In general, liquid applications of fungicides are vastly superior to granular. It's very similar to herbicides. Now, we have some excellent newer granular products on the market. We've worked with these preventatively, or if you're working with a program, they can be very effective. But if you have a full-blown active disease, oftentimes they're much slower to effectively manage that disease than liquid applications. Of course, economics is another big factor. There's many good new fungicides out there. The newer ones usually are quite expensive, or more expensive. Another basic thing I didn't mention is when you're selecting a fungicide, don't assume that all fungicides can be used on residential turf. Over the last few years, a lot of our older fungicides that were very effective on many diseases and more reasonably priced have restrictions on the label. They'll say maybe specifically not for use on residential turf or for golf course use only. So you really have to look at the label, the use site, and make sure that that fungicide is appropriate to use on residential turf or a sports field or wherever your target would be. One thing you also want to keep in mind is the economics and what's the customer's expectations. You can identify a disease, explain it to a customer, If it's something simple that's not going to cause the turf to die, that customer would be very happy just to live with it a little while. Other people may want that perfect lawn, and they don't say, I don't care if it's going to kill it or not, I want a nice lawn all the time. And so you have to meet those customer expectations and then present a program to them to effectively manage it. So if you have questions, give us a call. Again, we have information on our website or different places about how to manage diseases. And again, as far as diagnosis, we'll be happy to look at them in the clinic. So have a good day.